And now a message from Jill and Joe Biden. Jill and I want to send you our warmest Easter greetings. To you and your family, as we celebrate this most holy day, we know many are still going without familiar comforts of the season. The virus is not gone, and so many of us still feel the longing and loneliness of distance. For a second year, most will be apart from their families, their friends, full congregations that fill us with joy. Yet, as the Gospel of John reminds us, the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The traditions of Holy Week take us on a journey from sorrow to salvation, reminding us that with faith, hope, and love, anything is possible. And today, as spring returns, we see hope all around us. Families are getting the financial help they need to take a breath once again. Businesses are recovering, and more Americans are getting life-saving vaccines. We share the sentiments of Pope Francis, who has said that getting vaccinated is a moral obligation, one that can save your life and the lives of others. By getting vaccinated and encouraging your congregations and your communities to get vaccinated, we not only can beat this virus, but we can haste the day when we can celebrate the holidays together again. This Easter, from our family to yours, we wish you health, hope, joy, and the peace of God, which passes all understanding. Happy Easter, everyone. May the Lord bless you and keep you.
Don't you think he should have mentioned something about Jesus in there?
Hello, this is Karen.
And this is Kevin.
And this is Right From Us.
Yeah, how long was that address? Like a minute and a half or something?
It was a minute, yeah, about a minute.
And not one word about Jesus, who is the subject of
How sick is
Easter.
it that you can't even tell the American people Happy Easter without making it political?
Yeah, the vaccine is our moral obligation.
What an a-hole.
I
mean, seriously.
So I guess we're going to be immoral on this one.
Jeez Louise.
You know, they had the big vaccination drive, or whatever you call it, the massive vaccination.
Here in our city?
Massive vaccination thing yesterday in our city. Or no, actually it was Thursday and Friday.
Oh, Thursday and Friday.
Yeah, and they were going to attempt to do 10,000 vaccines.
Okay.
They did it. They ended up doing, I think, 2,000 the first day and 4,100 the second day. So they weren't really even close to the 10,000. What does that mean? Does that mean they just weren't as efficient, or is that?
I mean, possibly.
Does that mean that people just weren't coming in to get it?
I think it's probably just a multitude of reasons, but I just think it would have been pretty awesome if nobody at all had shown up. But of course, that's never going to happen.
I drove by there. I have a client down
near
there. And I
were
drove
you curious or were you tempted?
No, I drove by, and they had signs like, "This is the way to turn." You know,
yeah,
that sort of thing.
So were they just staying in their cars and they were just vaccinating?
I have
as they
no
were?
idea.
I'm sure that's probably what happened. They were just kind of like a
was at
drive-through jab.
Yeah, it was at one of the big arenas. I mean, it's not a huge arena, but for our town, it's a pretty big. At one time, it was the biggest one. So I don't know if it was indoors or if they were just drive-through.
I'm sure. Well,
the weather wasn't that great, so
maybe I don't know. I don't care,
idea.
honestly.
I don't either.
That's never going to happen for me. But what was that meme about? There's no disease, and it's just all about that vaccine. What was that? Remember we just talked about that?
Oh, brother.
It was all about getting the vaccine. There was really no disease or something like that. I don't know. But
yeah.
I mean, just a lot of things just make you question. That's all. There was actually a story about a 104-year-old woman who gets a standing ovation upon hospital discharge for surviving coronavirus twice. Okay, kudos to this woman, first of all. Good job.
Where was that?
Let me find out real fast. But good for her, for surviving it as a Colombian woman in a Colombian hospital. So
I wonder if she really had it or if it was a false positive.
I don't know. But I'm glad she's fine. I'm glad she's okay.
Yeah. I would like to know. I would like to know. Can Can you get the antibody test?
The
antibody test. I'd like to get tested for the antibodies.
I'm definitely going to ask to be tested if they ever mandate the jab at work.
Yeah, I don't
for sure.
I don't want to go for just a test because there's so many false positives on the PCR test.
Oh, you mean to get tested for COVID? Yeah, no, I don't want to do that either.
But I wouldn't mind getting the antibody test to see.
Okay, so that kind of brings me to what we were talking about earlier. I mean, if they require a test, like our niece and nephew had to get before they flew home, I mean, would you do that?
No, because there's all these false positives, and what if they say you're positive? You have to quarantine now. I mean, like if you're in Canada, man, you have to quarantine. They actually take you to a secret location.
Canada?
To quarantine.
Guys, our friends up north, what is going on with your country, man? We have a lot of wacko stuff going on down here, but I feel like you guys it's just like scary up there up north.
This Pastor Coates, his church refused to distance, and they've refused to go along with the lockdowns and things like that. They just had services, and he got put in jail. He was in jail for 30 days, and then once he got out, now his church has been blocked. The traffic's been blocked off to it, and they have put a fence around it, a barrier.
They put a physical fence
around a church.
So people cannot go to church and worship. That is insane.
That is sick.
That is sick and absolutely evil. It's evil.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there's going to be some changes up there when the next elections roll around.
Boy, I hope so. For you Canadians' sake, I really hope so. Yeah. And there was another viral video this week of a business owner, restaurant. I think she was a restaurant business owner. The health officials came in and tried to shut her down, and everybody in the restaurant was like, they were all chanting, "Get out, get out." It was awesome. So they left. They chased him out, just like that pastor from last week.
Yeah.
Chased him out of his church.
Yeah, apparently.
And this was all in Canada, right?
Yeah. Apparently that they still got massive
Good for you, Canadians.
lockdowns and curfews, which nobody really can explain why a curfew is a benefit.
Because COVID doesn't come out after 10 o'clock, apparently.
But apparently the majority of the public is still going along with it because of the safety aspect. They're in fear of getting the virus. So, I don't know. We had our election this week in our town, and
unfortunately, we weren't able to boot our mayor out.
Unfortunately, we still have the same mayor and most council members,
which really annoys me. But whatever.
We did. One of the council members, a new council member, was elected. One of the positions, and this lady is a gal who owned a business that got considered non-essential, so she was shut down for 6 weeks.
I'm just afraid they're going to do the same thing they did to the other lady that was there, that was a conservative. They basically just railroaded her and snowballed her out and pressured her out,
came
basically.
Up with all kinds of false things about her.
Yes, it was ugly.
So it's really going to be interesting. I will definitely be following that. There's a station in town that we listen to that follows things like this, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
And to piggyback off that, I mean, that's another reason why it's so important to pay attention to your local politics. I know I was talking to a nurse who her daughter is getting ready to go into the school system this year as a kindergartner, and she didn't know there was an election, which, to be fair, a lot of people don't pay attention to the local elections or even know when they're being held. So I was telling her about, our current school board and all this, critical race theory and all this other crap they're trying to shove down these kids' throats. And I told her, I said, your daughter's going to come home with a bunch of weird stuff. And, it all stems from the school board and what they're trying to get these teachers to teach. And it's important for you to get involved. And I was talking to her about the importance, and I got her to vote that day. And fortunately, the candidate that I talked to her about and thought it was the best candidate for the job won. So maybe, hopefully, there'll be some changes.
Yeah, we did actually get
board.
one of our candidates actually won.
I know.
So,
but I just think it's important that you pay attention to your local politics, because really that's where it all starts, and then it just kind of trickles up to the federal government. Because, you know, if you don't have the right people in your state government, then your entire state.
Right. Well, the local ones are the most important, and they have
the most impactful for you personally, for
right,
sure.
Right. I mean, you know, president and senators and things like that, they're important, but the local ones are the ones that will really
impact your life personally.
And unfortunately, they don't really publicize the elections that much.
And I'm sure they do that on purpose.
And we had less than 10% of our voters actually show up to vote, which is, that's just
it's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's sad. And of course, you know, the incumbents stayed in office.
It wouldn't have taken that much to
it wouldn't have.
I was actually looking at some of the results from some of the really small towns around here, and like nobody showed up to vote.
Oh yeah, I heard that. Like there wasn't one person that showed up to vote. It was a pretty small county, I think.
Then one city there was a tie of 3-3.
Oh. And you know, something else that's kind of bad about these local elections too. I mean, we have a local conservative talk show host that does a really good job of showcasing these candidates and giving them a chance to answer these questions and talk about what they stand for and what they would do in office and that kind of thing. But if it wasn't for that, I don't know that I would have known where to look to get any information about these candidates. I mean, who has time to look up these individual websites and look at these?
The newspaper and the radio, the TV stations have something kind of like it too.
Yeah, but you can't trust that crap. I want to hear straight from the horse's mouth. I want to see some kind of interview where they get interviewed and ask questions.
This radio announcer that we listen to, he just asks the question and then just lets them talk. And,
right. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't interject any of his own personal opinions.
Yeah.
He just gives them a platform.
Usually after about a minute, you can tell who.
Oh, yes. It was very eye-opening, and I really appreciated him doing that. But my point in bringing that up is that it's not, you have to kind of look for it. You have to pay attention and kind of search out the information for yourself, because it's not readily available as much as like the bigger elections. And even then, you have to be careful where you get your information from, because, you know, all these major news outlets, they don't tell the truth. They're going to slant it and push their agenda. Speaking of going back to COVID, because that's I'm kind of obsessed with it, to be honest. How the experts flip-flop. CDC keeps flip-flopping over all of these recommendations.
Flip-flops this week. That director, that lady that on that video you
I think she needs to take some chill pills. I mean, she's talking like doom and gloom.
A couple of weeks ago, she was doom and gloom, and then the next week she was like, "Well, if you've got the vaccine, then you don't need to wear a mask and social distance, and it's looking pretty good." So I think she was just, I don't know.
She's like, "When I first started at CDC about 2 months ago, I made a promise to you. I would tell you the truth, even if it was not the news you wanted," she said during a briefing at the White House on March 29th. I know. "Now is one of those times when I have to share the truth, and I have to hope and trust you will listen. I'm going to pause here. I'm going to lose the script, and I'm going to reflect on the recurring feeling I have of impending doom," she said. "We have so much to look forward to, so much promise and potential of where we are, and so much reason for hope, but right now I'm scared." When asked about what she saw on the data that precipitated this feeling of impending doom, Walensky said she believed a current steady rise in cases could surge and surge big. That same day, in another recent example, the Public Health Agency's constant backtracking, the CDC announced it would be extending the federal eviction moratorium only 2 days before it was set to expire. The moratorium is now set to end on June 30th.
How can the CDC even do that? I mean,
why are we giving them so much power?
How can they have a moratorium? How can they even do that?
Right? Legally, how can they do that?
But anyway, when
you know what? It's because we're under a state of emergency, isn't it?
Probably.
And that's probably what gives them carte blanche.
That's how they've been able to do a lot of this stuff. Of course, there's not a federal state of emergency, is there? I mean, the states.
Oh, I don't know. There might be.
I mean, when are we going to stop listening to these people?
Right?
I mean, Dr. Fauci, the other day, you know, Texas, the numbers in Texas are looking better, even though they've essentially opened the state up.
Right.
And he was asked about it. It's like, I don't know.
I mean, at least he flat out said I didn't know.
His thing was, there could be a delay. It's gonna, it's probably gonna happen, but it's gonna be delayed. I haven't seen the numbers in the last couple of days, but I mean, when are we going to stop listening to these people?
I don't know.
They have no idea.
Absolutely insane.
Fauci's been in his position for over 40 years, I think. You'd think he would know how to, know something about viruses by now.
Well, you would think, but his agenda is just to stay in the spotlight so he can get paid.
The CDC also this week said that you have a 1 in 10,000 chance to get the virus from surfaces. Now, that was the big thing at first. Everybody was spraying everything down. I mean, even at work, I was spraying my desk down and work papers, spraying Lysol over everything.
Yes.
And now they're saying you only have a 1 in 10,000 chance.
Okay, now you say that like it's a big deal, but that doesn't, for us non-mathematic people, I don't understand the significance of that.
1 in 10,000?
To me, that sounds like a lot.
1 in 10,000?
Oh, 1 in 10,000. You say that, and I'm thinking 10,000.
10,000 doorknobs, and you get the virus in one time.
Oh, no. That can't be right.
That's too low. I mean, I think that's one thing where they've got it wrong. Because if you touch a door handle
your
or
public like elevator buttons and stairwell like handrails and things like that. I mean,
if you just touch it, you're not going to get the virus. But if you touch it and then touch your face,
but here's the thing. You're going to get anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be COVID. You're going to get anything that if you touch a bunch of things that the public have touched. That's why when you're out in public, you should never touch your nose, your eyes, your mouth, anything like that, and wash your hands immediately after getting home from someplace public. Yeah. That should be just a general common sense rule across the board, no matter where we are in any kind of health crisis.
That's just normal cleanliness things you should do.
Which I don't think they may think about it now because of all the stuff that's been happening in the past year, but that's just something that you should do anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we've also got the state of Florida suing the CDC over the cruise no sail order.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you think how many ports are in Florida.
Okay, I was also thinking about that this afternoon. Why aren't the cruise lines suing the CDC?
I don't know.
And what about the state of Texas? I mean, there's cruise ports in state of Texas too.
They have shut down the cruise industry now for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in November, right?
It's been a year.
But
2 years. Yeah. The no sale order right now goes through November.
Till November.
So that's almost 2 years.
Yeah.
It's just destroying our travel industry.
I don't even know how they can still function without having been able to do any business for almost 2 years. Can you imagine having a business and no one?
The government
you have no customers?
Yeah, the government's not allowing you to do business.
So yeah, I'm sure it's strangling Florida's tourism.
Yeah, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people
and jobs and just everything.
But finally, the state of Florida is stepping up and suing the CDC over that.
I hope they just sue the pants off of them.
Yeah, it's just really outrageous.
Also, another thing here about COVID. 1 in 3 COVID-19 survivors diagnosed with brain or mental health disorder within 6 months of infection.
Now what?
So they're saying that people that have had COVID, 1 in 3 are now being diagnosed with either a brain or mental health disorder.
Who's they?
Well, that's a good question. A massive study conducted during the pandemic estimates 1 in 3 COVID-19 survivors were diagnosed with a neurological or psychiatric condition within 6 months of infection. The study published Tuesday in a peer-reviewed journal, The Lancet Psychiatry, used more than 230,000 electronic health records of COVID-19 patients, mostly in the U.S., looking at 14 different brain and mental health disorders. How do they get access to 230,000 electronic health records?
That's a good question.
That's supposed to be private. Are you telling me that all these people gave permission for them to look at their records? That's a red flag to me.
Yeah.
34% of survivors were diagnosed with at least one of these conditions, with 13% of these people being their first recorded neurological or psychiatric diagnosis. Mental health diagnoses were most common among patients, with 17% diagnosed with anxiety and 14% diagnosed with a mood disorder. The reason I'm bringing this up, Do you think potentially, possibly, let's just think outside the box here, that maybe they're having a lot of psychiatric issues because they've been locked down for over a year?
Well, that could be it. I was also just thinking to myself, isn't that just like 1 in 3 people already crazy before the virus came along?
That's my point, though.
That seems about right.
Well, but that's my point. This does not sound like groundbreaking stats. Also, but like I said, I think that most of this psychiatric stuff is coming from people being isolated from their loved ones, not being able to celebrate holidays, not being able to go out in public unless you're like wearing a hazmat suit. I mean, this wears on people. Of course, there are going to be increased diagnosis of mental health disorders.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
Yep.
That just irritates me to death. That's why I wanted to bring that up, because it's like, and I don't know, maybe it has something to do with COVID-19, but I'm betting you the majority of the people, these 230,000 people, they looked at their records. I mean, who's to say they didn't have a mental disorder before they even contracted COVID?
That's what I'm saying. I think 1 out of 3 people already have some kind of mental issue.
I want to know how they got a hold of all these records, but whatever. Anyway, I wanted to bring that up because I thought that was like, see, that's just another example of how you have to read news with a grain of salt, tongue in cheek, because you have to read a little between the lines on some of this reporting. Because it's just all slanted.
13% of these people, it was their first recorded.
Yes, exactly.
Neurological or psychiatric.
That's my point.
So in other words, they had most of these people already had some other.
Well, to me, that means that they were perfectly normal until we locked everybody down like animals.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me. But I don't know. My point is, everything with a grain of salt, people. Everything with a grain of salt.
Mental health diagnoses were most common among patients, with 17% diagnosed with anxiety and 14% diagnosed with mood disorder.
So see, that kind of goes back to all those stupid symptoms that we talked about. Like if you have a nosebleed, you have COVID. It's kind of like they're blaming everything on COVID. I mean, people have had anxiety and for like ever.
Yeah.
And people that are more prone to anxiety are going to even feel more anxious because of all that's happened in the past year. I mean, is it truly because of COVID? Are we blaming COVID again? Even, just like, some of these people that have side effects from the COVID vaccine. You know what I'm saying? It's like, they're trying to say it's not because of COVID. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say. They're having all these side effects, but it can't be because you just had the vaccine.
No, yeah, that's what they're saying. It's no, it can't be the
right,
vaccine.
Exactly. So it's like let's blame COVID when it's when it pushes our agenda, and we can't blame COVID when it's actually COVID.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Or you can't blame the vaccine when something happens.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
No, I mean, can we? Without getting banned.
Oh, who knows nowadays? The rules change weekly, so whatever.
Okay, so we had the family that got kicked off a plane because their 2-year-old wouldn't wear a mask while eating. Yep.
And then did you hear what happened? They actually dismissed the flight attendant.
Oh, they did?
That caused the big problem. Yes, and they allowed the family back on the plane.
Did they? I did not know that. I didn't realize that. But I think that when things like this come up, sometimes it's just better just to de-escalate the situation, Do you think it would have been better for the family just to say, kid, put your mask on and get in the air? And then what are they going to do?
Well,
They can't kick you off the plane in the middle of the air.
Of course. But here's the thing. It's a 2-year-old child. And if that 2-year-old child doesn't want to put a mask on, there's not much you can do about that situation.
The other side of the argument, though, is...
Other than pinning it down.
When you're getting your ticket and, there's signs all over the place that people over the age of 2 and over have to wear a mask. It's like apparently like prominently displayed all over the place. So is it unfair to ask that family to put a mask on their 2-year-old?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean,
I know what you're saying.
Some of these situations, even though they're probably in the right, the kid's eating, just put a mask on them,
I don't know that I like your answer.
Well,
I hear what you're saying, though.
There's a time to fight things, but then there's a time that's like,
I guess.
this is stupid. we know we're right, so just
But
put
I
a
mean-
mask on and go along with it.
But I feel like there's a fine line between going along and standing up for what's right. I mean, at some point you have to say, okay, enough is enough, because they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and before you know it, we've got these ridiculous laws.
Right, I agree with that.
Or they're putting fences around churches.
I agree with that, but the family had probably been exposed to 20 times where they either saw a sign or signed something that said anybody two and over has to wear a mask.
Well, and I'm sure they had every intention of following the rules, but the child was eating.
That's true.
So
That's true.
perhaps they were going to put a mask on her after she got done eating.
But also the flight attendant should have probably just looked the other way. Don't you
Or
think?
give the child a chance, or
Yeah.
give the family a chance to put a mask on her after she was finished eating.
I just think on both sides of this issue, everybody can just kind of step back a
Everybody
little
just
bit.
needs to calm down
just chill
and
out
be
a little
human.
bit, man.
And speaking of that, did you hear about the volcano that went off in one of the Caribbean? Was it Caribbean?
Yeah.
No, or it was a Virgin Island, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's Caribbean Island.
Oh, is it Caribbean Island?
Well, that's Virgin Islands are in the Caribbean.
Well, whatever. Me and geography don't get along very well. But
think.
anyway, but this volcano erupted for the first time in hundreds of years, wasn't it? Anyway, and it was a bad eruption. They were trying to evacuate the residents of the island, and these cruise ships were helping them off. Now, I don't know if this is true, but one of the news, because it was a news report that I saw, were saying that they were evacuating the people that had gotten the jab.
That
had
can't,
gotten the
surely
vaccine.
not.
That was a news report I saw. Now, I don't know if that was taken out of context,
Surely not.
but surely that's not what they're doing.
Oh, so they were only allowing vaccinated people to get off the
But
island?
is that really so crazy?
That can't be right.
But the thought of that, though, is that so crazy to think that could happen
Well,
because
I
of
mean,
the direction we're going now?
No, because we got, a lot of these states are coming up with these vaccine passports, believe it or not. New York is proceeding with this vaccine passport thing where it's not mandatory, but they're, allowing businesses to not let you in to certain events or...
Which on one hand, I kind of get it, because they're a private business, and you shouldn't be allowed to tell them how they can and cannot conduct their business. I mean, but so I kind of get that. But if it gets to a state level where you're like, nope, you can't come into the state of such and such without a vaccine passport.
Yeah.
Then it's like, now wait a minute.
Yeah. So in our state, they've said the state's not going to mandate vaccine passports, but private businesses can if they choose to.
Yeah.
But in Florida, they said, no, you can't do that. Period.
Even in private businesses?
Right.
Really? So you got to be careful here, because we don't want to be hypocritical on this. You have to be fair to all sides. So I wouldn't agree with that decision, but it is a private business.
Yeah, but you're allowing a business to step on someone's rights and privacy.
See, I kind of disagree with
Wouldn't that be like a HIPAA violation?
What do you mean?
You'd have to present your health records to somebody that
the customer can just deny it. They don't. I see what you're saying, but on the private business thing, I mean, you don't have to shop there. If that's the condition to shop there, and you're not meeting that condition, then you don't get to shop there. Just like, I don't know if you all know this or not. I don't know that this is general knowledge, but when you go to see a doctor, that doctor does not have to treat you. Okay, he or she has the option of declining to treat you. And even if you're a patient of this doctor and you have rude and inappropriate behavior, or you're non-compliant or something like that, the doctor has the right to fire you as a patient. The same premise to me applies to private businesses.
Of course.
So,
you don't have to. Of course, unless you're a baker, you have to prepare.
Or a photographer.
You have to cook cakes for gay weddings, even though it's against your religion.
And now there's a photographer in hot water, because I don't know if it was a man or woman.
And there's actually lawsuits about that. I mean, the baker
Wouldn't
got
take
sued.
Pictures of a transgender
everything
couple,
is
I
just
guess.
So in other words, you're gonna have to, if you're a baker, you have to prepare cakes for people that are doing things that are against your religion, but we can allow you to not get the vaccine.
Yeah,
that makes sense. That didn't make any sense, but I think
I know what you're saying.
you can refuse service if they don't have the vaccine passport. But you can't. You have, if you're a baker, you have to make a cake for anybody that comes in the
That
door.
goes against your religious beliefs.
Yeah.
But yeah, speaking of private companies, did you hear about United Airlines gets backlash after announcing race and gender quotas for hiring new pilots?
Yeah. Instead of going for the best pilots, they're going
The best candidates. I guess you better hope these race and gender quotas, I hope they're good pilots. Are you going to hire them just because it's a woman? I mean, what if she's failed her pilot's test or whatever? You're going to hire her anyway because she's a woman? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
To me, again, they're missing the bigger picture. The bigger picture is if you want race and gender equality or more diversity in your company, it needs to all start with education. Let's focus on educating, the minorities. I guess I hate to say that, but the minority population, so that they grow up and become pilots because they have the talent and the knowledge to do so, regardless of their race or gender. Right?
Right.
See, so to me, again, they're missing the big picture. You're focusing on the wrong aspect of this problem. Once again,
Why can't we just go back to not worrying about people's race and
Right?
gender and just get the best people in there?
just like Martin Luther King said, it's based on
content
your
or
character.
character.
Yes, not your color, not the color of your skin. That should be irrelevant.
Don't you know he would just be rolling over in his grave
Oh
to see
my
what's
goodness,
going on right
he
now?
would probably be labeled a racist nowadays.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's just
Because, I mean, everything seems like it's, just like you say, it's just like, well, what color? What race is the person?
I mean,
What-
that's the first question everybody asks nowadays, and it's like, what difference does that make?
Yeah.
Are you or are you not the best candidate for the job? I mean, I don't know what other question you have to ask. Speaking of that, did you hear about? I cannot believe that people are not more outraged by this. BLM co-founder buys a $1.4 million home in Affluent, Topanga, wherever that is, where less than 2% of the population is black. So not only did she buy $1 million home, she bought it in a neighborhood that is predominantly white. Why? She's using the BLM money that was raised after the George Floyd incident and all these other incidents that have cropped up since then to buy a home for herself in a neighborhood that's not even black, it's white. How
Yeah.
are people not upset by that?
Yeah.
Think
Well,
of all that money that could have been put
It's not-
into these poorer communities to help these other, less fortunate kids.
Well, it's not being covered by the news. That's why.
Well,
People aren't outraged.
you heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, back to the George Floyd thing. We got the trial going on up there, and there's evidence coming out showing where the police officer was really doing his job, just what was in his training manual. So
Yeah, I guess the
You know,
prosecution
that-
has not been having very good luck.
that would be something to sort of follow to see what happens with that, because if he gets acquitted, then the some of these BLM and Antifa people have already said that they're
Yep.
going to be burning things down.
They've already
so-
come out, like I've seen it on Twitter, they're already saying, just be prepared, we're going to burn it down. Yeah, that's going to be super helpful.
Yeah, what's this? 53% of Canadians on brink of insolvency.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Again, you poor Canadians. I feel sorry for you guys up there. I don't know what's going on with you guys. 53% of Canadians are on the verge of insolvency and are $200 or less away from not being able to pay their monthly bills and obligations, while 25% took on more debt during the pandemic, according to a new survey by MNP. The news comes as Canada's MNP Consumer Debt Index hits a 5-year high and is a 10-point jump from a December survey. The anxiety Canadians are feeling about making ends meet or are already unable to do so tells us we may eventually see an avalanche of households falling behind on payments or defaulting on loans, mortgages, car payments, or credit cards.
That
Wow.
might help to explain why there's been so many people beat up over the mask mandates and things.
Well, yeah, because they're
on
just
edge.
they're absolutely stressed out.
That is too bad.
Hence the reason why there is, studies coming out that people are having psychiatric issues after so-called getting the vaccine. People are stressed out because the government is stressing them out.
I don't know too much about the politics up there in Canada, but surely
I don't know.
they need to get some more people that have more liberty-minded.
Yeah, they need to get rid of their prime minister. How does that work up there?
I have no
does he
idea.
have like term limits?
I have no idea.
I have no idea either. But I do feel sorry for you Canadians up there because, wow, I mean, we have a lot of crazy stuff going on here in the U.S., but at least we have the Constitution that somewhat protects us. I don't know if you have anything like that in Canada, but I do feel sorry for you guys up there because it sounds like an absolute mess.
Of course, we're getting more and more of our rights taken away every day, and we've got Biden now going after the guns again.
Yes.
This week he said that that there's no amendment to the Constitution that is absolute. And people were just completely outraged by that.
Well, on the surface, it's an outrageous statement. However,
he's actually right. I mean, at one point we had I think it was the 18th Amendment that prohibited the sale of alcohol, and then I think it was the 21st Amendment. I could be wrong on that. That reversed that. So it could happen.
It could happen.
There could be. What they're doing right now is they're calling. Biden is calling all this gun violence a public health crisis. And if you think about it, that's how they've gotten everything through this last year. They, with the COVID lockdowns and nonsense, is by declaring a state of emergency and declaring a health crisis. If they do the same thing, and he actually said that this is a health crisis.
Yeah, he says he's actually declared war on millions of law-abiding gun owners. Joe Biden announced Thursday that he wants a new rule against ghost guns, another to blend the definitions of pistol and rifles, a nationwide promotion of red flag laws that allow people to be banned from having guns based on someone else's negative feelings, and more. Gosh. Many are calling it a war on Americans. The Washington Examiner described Biden's slate of gun actions as a compendium of what the president believes he can accomplish through executive action. Biden called gun violence in America an epidemic.
Yeah, so that could happen, and we just need to be aware of what's going on. That they declare these emergencies and
they start taking your rights away and start passing all these insane totalitarian rules.
Yeah.
And what were you saying
in the
about,
name of health, health safety.
And what were you saying about some, like a lot of the states were passing, like doing away with their?
Yeah, today Tennessee did away with their concealed carry permit, and there's actually 20 states that don't require concealed carry permit, and it also listed Missouri. I'm not aware of that, but
I don't know. I haven't heard about that. Nobody but from the Biden administration has reached out to us or any other rights organization, to my knowledge, which certainly clarifies Biden's approach to firearms regulations. He came into office talking about unity, but he just declared war on tens of millions of law-abiding gun owners who have committed no crimes. So, it's, again, guys, pay attention. You got to pay attention to what's going on.
I went around treasure hunting today, and I stopped in at there's a pawn shop that we go to. There were no guns.
Are you serious?
They're sold out. I mean, usually they have like this wall of rifles.
Wow.
I think there were 2, and usually there's probably at least 30 up on this wall. So,
Well, it's
all this is sort of backfiring because people are going to go out and get more guns.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's immoral to take people's rights to defend themselves away from them. I mean, The criminals don't care if there's a gun law or not. They're going to go out and they're going to do their thing because they're criminals.
They're going to get guns no matter what.
Right.
And
so you're taking people's rights
the law
to defend themselves.
Abiding citizens are the ones that are going to get hurt by this.
I think that's immoral and evil. It's so twisted. The intentions are so twisted.
Yeah, so I was going to go get some cashew chicken today, but the restaurant had that chop suey font on their sign, and that's racist.
So we have reached a point, people, where CNN is now trying to cancel the chop suey font, as in like Times New Roman and Arial and all these fonts. They're trying to cancel the chop suey font because apparently it's racist. Can a font style be racist? CNN reporter Ann Guido seems to think so, and she has published a massive report on why those letters you've seen on the front of buildings, on to-go boxes, and on menus are a problem. It's hard not to cringe at the Chinese stereotypes bundled up with each font package, especially when seen through the lens of today's heightened vigilance toward discrimination and systemic racism. Critics believe that using chop suey typefaces is downright racist, particularly when deployed by non-Asian creators.
Well, most of these restaurants are owned by Asian people, so I don't, unless you're going to say that the Asians are racist against their own race, then I think it's really CNN that's the racist.
Oh, absolutely. And also, the key word here is today's heightened vigilance. Well, who has heightened it?
Yeah, you racists
Again,
at CNN.
They're trying to put out a fire that they started.
Yeah.
And it just, it's so backwards and frustrating. Anyway, is there anything else you want to talk about? How are we doing on time?
We're getting up there. We're getting up there on time.
Let's see. Was there anything on your list that you want to talk about that was kind of
I think I pretty much. I think there was how last week we talked about how there's parallels between what's going on with all the canceling and name calling and things like that. That the Nazis were doing compared to today, and there was also a story at number 14. Basically similar to that, where they were just listing the commonalities between what was happening before World War II and what's happening today.
From the American Thinker?
Yeah. Racial division was the biggest thing, which, that's like every story on CNN is...
Right.
Don't you think just normal people don't even think about that? It's just like
I hope
they don't
so.
even see that.
I hope there's more normal people out there than we think.
Secondly, the Nazi Party was fixated on censorship, which is that. It's just like every other day.
Absolutely.
There's a canceled.
Sure. Only wanting to put the information they want out there.
Yeah, there's a canceled book or word you can't say anymore.
Because, God forbid you have an opinion or an opposing opinion or even a question.
And then they had fake news. The third thing was fake news. They blamed everything on the rich people. The Nazi Party relied on street rioting and property damage, which is what we got going on, pretty much.
Which unfortunately may happen again, depending on the outcome of the George Floyd thing. But
so anyway, then the sixth one is talking about, and I really didn't read this very thoroughly, but it's talking about Hitler was appointed the Chancellor of Germany, and within 4 weeks a mysterious fire burnt out in the Congress building, which they blamed on communist agitators, and that was the opening to getting him into more power, which is kind of what, if you think about what happened on January 6th.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
They've been labeling that as just a terrible insurrection, and it's like there was not even any weapons there. So
I still don't think that's what the intention was. I still think people just got excited in the moment, and they were just trying to get into the Capitol to see what was going on.
Like grandmas, getting waved into the Capitol building, and they were just looking around. Oh, look at this nice little statue. That got arrested.
There were probably a few people in there that had some ill intent, but I think the majority of people were just caught up in the moment.
Well, there were no weapons. There were no weapons seized.
So stupid. And then, do you want to talk about the whole Trump conspiracy thing?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if we should talk about this. We don't want too many people to know about it because
it's secret.
Yeah, it's a secret. It's a brilliant plan. We don't want to give their game away.
Okay, there's this thing going around, speculating that
today's the first I heard of this. By the way,
assuming the Republicans win the midterm elections, the House in the midterm elections. Then they can appoint whoever they want to as the Speaker of the House. So they're speculating, why don't they appoint President Trump as the Speaker of the House? Okay, and then President Trump, once he gets in there as the Speaker, he can impeach Biden and Harris for all the crimes and stuff.
Which are not made up, by the way. There's been a lot of evidence,
serious crimes
to show.
Just look at what's on Hunter Biden's laptop.
Yeah, I think that's about to explode.
So I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't think it's ever going to. It's just getting covered up by the news media.
We'll see.
So then President Trump could impeach Biden and Harris, and then he would be president again.
Can you imagine?
It's a dream. It's just a dream we're having.
It's a dream. Actually, the part of that process I'm looking most forward to is getting Pelosi out. I just want Pelosi out. That
if
wicked witch of the West.
Republicans can just get the House back in 2022.
Do you think that's going to happen though? Because the Democrats are trying really hard to skew the election process so that they basically don't ever lose.
That's true. That's true. But with all this crazy stuff that Biden's doing, don't you think some people are going to wake up and say, man, we got to get
I think a lot of people are. They're just not being very vocal about it. At
I
least I hope. That's my hope anyway. I don't know.
We can only hope that scenario plays out.
Yeah, for sure. So, you want to switch gears now and go to your favorite part of the program?
Yeah, let's do that.
This is called This or That. And I thought this would give us a good opportunity to have, so people can get to know us a little bit. So outside of our political views and opinions. So this is This or That question. So tell me which you would prefer.
Oh, brother.
Dog or cat?
Do I have to choose one of those?
Mm-hmm.
How about a fish?
Oh my gosh. Why?
The fish are so lovable.
They're so cuddly.
No, fish, you can look at them for a couple seconds and then just go do your thing, and then come back later, feed them. They
don't go anywhere.
You don't have to do much with a fish.
They're not terribly messy unless you clean their tank with bleach.
Yeah.
That's what he does. We've had numerous fish in the past when the kids were little, and it gets gross and gummy. You know how it is with fish tanks. So he gets in there and he cleans the rocks with bleach.
Okay, I made a mistake one time.
It was more than one time. We have flushed many a fish.
Okay, what do you want, dog or cat?
What do you think I'm going to say?
Probably dog.
Neither.
Really?
I'm going to choose option C, neither. I am not an animal lover. I don't hate animals. They're great with someone else's, but I don't want one.
Who has time for that?
Well, that's true. They are time consuming.
My uncle had a dog, and we have to stop what we were doing, go home and let the dog out, all the time.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, who has time for that?
And then the poor thing got older and then would start peeing because she didn't know what she was doing. And so.
I guess if you're someone that stays home a lot, an animal like that would be great.
Well, but then you have our neighbors, who have a dog that's clearly not a city dog. Probably should be more of a country dog.
They have a country dog in the city.
It's a coon dog, and he yowls a lot and howls. But they've been doing better about trying to control that. But that type of dog, it's almost cruel to put it in an environment that it's not really meant to be in.
Right.
So neither for me. Phone call or text?
Text.
Oh, 100% text. I hate talking on the phone.
If you call me, just leave a voicemail.
Yes, please.
Don't just say, call me back.
Yeah. I hate the ones that call you and go, hey, I just emailed you. What? I'm all about efficiency. That's not efficient. So just text me, please. Or text me you're going to call me because I probably won't answer. I know that's rude, but I hate talking on the phone. You can just send me a text. Thanks. Let's see. Toast or eggs?
How about both?
Toast that's what I was gonna say.
Eggs
both.
On toast. Ooh, that's the best thing.
Egg in a hole.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, both at the same time.
Yes. What you do is you cut out a hole in the middle of the bread, and then you crack an egg into that hole, and you fry it up. Oh, it's so delicious.
That was actually on a movie.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you got that recipe from a book.
I did, but when I went back and watched a movie, that was actually on a movie that we had watched as a family one time. I forget what it was.
Oh, goodness. I have no clue what you're talking about on that one.
I don't even remember, but.
Yes. How about ice cream cone or snow cone?
Ice cream cone.
Oh, I thought you would have said snow cone.
Really? No, ice cream cone.
Yeah, for sure.
Because snow cone's kind of just like water.
Well, it's ice.
Yeah.
You must just put a mouthful of ice in there and call it a day. Okay, so I don't know if this really applies to you, but while walking, would you rather listen to music or podcasts?
I don't like to walk. I think that's the most boring thing.
Oh, now see, I totally disagree with that. I'm a big walker.
I pretty much don't like to exercise that much anyway. I just like to do stuff.
Your exercise isn't doing things.
Doing stuff.
Yes,
but I do
for
work
sure.
out. I do work out 3 times a week usually.
Okay,
Two-
so
two
when
to
you
3 times a week.
when you work out on your weights, would you rather listen to music or podcast?
Probably podcast.
Really?
But I actually watch Rumble videos while I'm working out.
See, definitely music for me because I can kind of zone out, and plus the beat of the music really energizes me to keep that pace or whatever.
Yeah.
But a podcast is right up there with audiobooks for me.
Yeah.
I don't like listening to them because I find myself my brain starts wandering, and then I lose track of what's going on. And I don't feel like I'm doing the podcast or the book justice because I'm not really paying attention. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Even though, don't let that sway you from this podcast. Obviously, you want to listen to this one, but
Yeah, this one will wake you up and entertain
or
you.
it might piss
and
you off,
educate you.
which that'll definitely wake you up. So, all right. How about iOS or Android? Apple or Android?
You know, I have a number of Android devices, and I've always criticized iOS because they're so controlling. But you
Yeah.
know, I've heard quite a few.
Don't you tell me you're going to be an Apple convert.
No, but I have heard that the iOS combats the security issues that are in Android
Really, I heard the
and
opposite.
privacy issues.
I've actually heard that they're starting to become more vulnerable to attacks
I don't
and
know.
hackers and things.
I don't know.
But yeah, I agree. I'm not an Apple person. No offense to you Apple users out there. It's just not my thing.
I am concerned about the security and privacy issues in Android.
Really? Why? What have you heard?
Let's see. Eric Snowden basically says anytime your phone is on, that they're tracking you. They can listen to you. They can turn the camera on, off, whatever they want to do.
I'm glad you brought that up because have you ever noticed, like when you hold your phone, like the little camera lens, once in a while the camera lens will just kind of like do this. Have you noticed that? Like, so they must be watching you.
It's possible.
I mean, I don't know how.
Eric
Why would it do
Snowden
that otherwise?
Says that's what they're doing.
It's kind of creepy.
Have you
I'm
heard
not
of,
gonna lie.
Have you heard of Cheryl Atkinson? Cheryl Atkinson, she was the CBS reporter that uncovered the Fast and Furious scandal, Obama scandal, and the Benghazi Obama scandal.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened to her. She would be sitting at her computer, and it would just start doing things.
Like the cursor would just go off on
start
its own?
moving, or when her computer was off, it would just come back on. And
My computer actually does that too.
She thought she was getting. Somehow she found out she was being tracked, and
That is creepy.
yeah.
I know that my computer does that too, and I've gotten to the point where I just shut off the power bar
Yeah.
because that's the only way my computer will not come back on. Is that not creepy? And it's probably
I
just
think
a setting
I
or
think it
something
is
in
a
the
function-
background.
I think it is a function in Windows, but
Yeah, but still,
That's
it's
kinda
kind of creepy.
creepy, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see, cake or pie?
pie.
Cake. Cake all the way. I know that's not true. I like pie, but I think I like cake better. Why do you like pie better?
My mom makes pie.
Your mom makes amazing pies. Your mother makes amazing pies.
Yeah.
So good. And she makes a lot of variety of pies too. Like,
Yeah.
she'll use maple syrup instead of sugar or whatever
Yeah.
she does on
Yeah.
that. And they always taste so good.
Yeah, I did. I weighed myself today for the first time in about 6 months.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to have to be cutting back on a lot of pies and pizza and cakes. And
It's all the lockdown. They call it the lockdown 15 or
I
whatever.
don't know. I really haven't been.
Actually, it hasn't really
affected
affected our
by
lives
the-
much. Thank God. Thank
I mean,
God. We're very
I've
fortunate.
just pretty much just been determined just to live normally.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Swimming or sunbathing?
swimming.
Sunbathing. I'm not a swimmer.
Sunbathing is like, what?
See,
what
but-
am I doing here? I got things to do.
Kevin, good grief. See, I like because I get to read a book or listen to music or whatever. I'm not a big swimmer. I'm not a very good swimmer. I'm definitely not a very confident swimmer. So it kind of scares me a little bit to be in water over my
Really?
head. Yeah, and it's always been that way.
Really?
For me. Yeah, for sure. But would you say you're a pretty good swimmer? You're a
Oh,
pretty
yeah.
good swimmer.
Yeah. Yeah. From the age, let's see, I learned to swim. I was probably, I was kind of older when I learned to swim, maybe like 12 or something like that. I don't know. Fifth or sixth grade. And then
Did you have lessons or do you just kind of learned on your own?
I learned. Me and my sisters would go to the pool. We went to the pool every
I remember you
day
telling me that.
in the summertime.
Would you guys like walk there or bike there?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah. We went to the city pool.
And you guys were like totally tan and
We
brown.
had season pass, and we went every single
every
day.
single day. Did you stay all day long when you went?
Usually. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
And you swam all day, or did you? Surely you just
we
sat around.
pretty much
'Cause,
swam.
I mean, that makes you tired.
Swim, yeah, and I would dive off the high dive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, I've done that before, but it scares me because I'm just not a very.
And-
Was your sister a pretty good swimmer?
Oh yeah, we actually ended up taking swimming lessons and things.
Did your older sister go?
I think so. I don't remember her being there as much. She was a little bit older, and so she had more activities like
She was
cheerleading.
probably a
and
lot of
stuff like that,
activities. Yeah, she's very social for sure. Let's see, a couple more, and then we'll call it quits here. Big party or small gathering? Ah. See, this is an interesting question.
Yeah.
This is kind of like a church service. Would you rather go to a big church service
Yeah.
or like a small, intimate study group?
Well, if you're in a big group, you can kind of like go
Blend
to the
in.
corner and just kind of blend in.
Kind of be forgotten about.
If you're in a small group, then you pretty much have to talk.
I think it depends on the group. Now, if it was
Yeah.
like your family or something
Yeah.
like that, then that's fine. But like
I'd
or people you work with.
I'd almost rather not be around any people.
Oh my gosh. Well, now, it's kind of a perk for introverts in this whole lockdown thing
Yeah.
for sure, because it is kind of nice to not have to deal with people. But so, what's your final answer on that? If you had to pick one, which would you prefer to be
Do
in?
I have to say? Can I just say neither?
Well, I guess you could say neither. I don't know. If I had to pick, probably a big party.
It's like I'm pretty much happy just being on my own because I got a lot of stuff to do. I remember when I was a kid, a friend would come over to my house and it's like,
I know.
Oh,
I
hi.
do that too. That's terrible, isn't it? I'm just like, okay, it's been 20 minutes. Would it be rude if I left?
yeah.
So, yeah, I know. I totally understand that. But, I mean, that's just the curse of being an introvert, which I know seems weird since we're doing a podcast. But anyway, let's see. How about new clothes or new phone?
I pretty much don't buy new anything. Even my phone, the phone that I have right now was a refurbished phone. I don't.
True.
And clothes, I don't buy new clothes anymore at
That's
a store.
true. And you find some good deals on clothes.
Yeah, I mean, we have in our neighborhood garage sales, and it's like people are getting rid of their designer clothes.
Yeah.
For
It's a
pennies
throwaway society for
Yeah.
sure. You can get you got a brand new bike out of someone's trash today.
No, we got that a couple months ago, but we sold it.
Okay.
We did sell it.
But you sold it for
Today.
for $25.
Yeah.
And he literally took it out of someone's trash.
Right.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that can be refurbished and someone else can enjoy it.
Not only is it I'm making money, but I'm also
You're helping someone else out.
and I'm saving the planet.
And well, honestly, yes.
Yeah, it would have been in the
Absolutely.
trash. It was in the trash.
Just like all those cabinets and stuff you're finding for our trailer.
Well, this bike was brand new. I mean, it didn't even look like it had been written before.
Yeah. That's kind of sad, isn't it?
And it was in the trash.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think?
Question?
What do you think I would say to that? New clothes or new phone?
Probably clothes.
Yep, new clothes. I could care less about the phone.
Yeah.
All right, two more and then we'll stop. I know we're getting up there in time. I'm trying to get to a number that I'll remember that we left off at next time. Rich friend or loyal friend?
Loyal friend.
You know what I would say?
Neither.
I would say neither. I know, I'm terrible, aren't I? I'm just not, I don't know, I'm a bad person, I guess. Okay, and then the very last one. Work hard or play hard?
Work hard.
Work hard for sure.
Just make what your work is fun.
Actually, both.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you're going to work hard, you need to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. I think we probably should end it there. I'm sorry. I probably went over. Sorry, guys. Thanks for sticking around listening to our nonsense. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Stay safe. Be informed. Don't panic. This too shall pass, I hope. I pray.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. There's in Ecclesiastes, it basically says there's nothing new under the sun. So all this stuff has happened before. So it's
Just
you'll get through it.
Unfortunately, we're living it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Very good.
All right. Thanks for watching and listening. Bye.
See ya. Bye. How long did we go over?
59 minutes.
Oh, very good. That's not bad.
We've been about an hour every single time.
That's okay. So do you like those, this and that?
Yeah.
I mean, because I like those because it opens up conversations and people get to know us, you know?
It looks like this actually worked for a change up here.